Do you believe in miracles? Are you looking for a miracle right now in your love life? Maybe your health or your finances or your career. Well, it is possible. All you have to do is believe. Hi, I'm Sherry Nichols, and I want to welcome you to The Miracle in You, a show that is dedicated to bringing you hope and inspiration through real life stories of people just like you and me from all over the world who have gone through dramatic events, obstacles, challenges where they really weren't sure if they'd ever make it through, and they did. And today I am so thrilled to bring you a phenomenal woman who has a beautiful miracle to share with you. Patty Contenta, also a friend and colleague for years. It has just been such an honor to know and see this woman's growth and her miracle that has happened in her life. She, like many of you, experienced some sadness and some relationships that didn't work out. And there was a lot of disappointment and a lot of wondering, why me? What is it that why are things just not working out for me? But today she is in an amazing, beautiful relationships, and she's going to share with us today her journey and how she really moved forward from bad relationships to this amazing, extraordinary relationship. So let's welcome Patty Contenta, all the way from Canada.
Yes, Montreal. Hey, hi Sherry. Thanks for having me.
So good to have you. So tell us, let's just dive right in, because when we were talking before, we talked about how there can be a journey to our relationships, and how we can really go through some really hard times, and how do you move through that? And you have done a beautiful job of that. And so share with us your miracle journey and getting to this gorgeous relationship that you're currently in.
Sherry, to your point, I did have many years ago, it started from the divorce onward, a lot of a failed, the marriage was a failed relationship that, blindsided me. And a few men after that, kind of the repeat pattern of the same type of persona of someone that didn't truly adm- had this adornment and um, respect and honor for me. And I didn't even think if I wasn't even sure if that was possible. I hoped it was. There's a part of me that always wanted to believe that it's possible to be in this type of a relationship, but I hadn't seen too many examples of that, not in my immediate surroundings. And each relationship, especially at the beginning, they were more toxic, if you will. And then when you're on this growth, spiritual growth of trying to evolve as a human being, to say, well, the common denominator is me. What are the things that I need to change within myself so that I could bring forth someone that's at my vibration or my level of evolution? And if I want someone at that level, that means I need to evolve. If I keep believing that this is impossible, if I keep thinking that everything has to be hard work, that yet that men do cheat and etc. and all this other stuff, if I keep thinking that this is the reality, I'm only gonna attract or be around people of that same evolution. So and we do this through the work. I mean, this is why we're having this conversation, is because we're on, anyone that's listening is on a journey of trying to believe and have faith that I'm doing all this work to get to a place where the people around me and the love that I'll attract in my life will at least get better with each person. If it's not immediate, they will all get better. And so after the first few that were very toxic, I started to really do a lot of internal hard work, um, through different ways. And ultimately, the types of men started to get a little bit better each time. So at least I've been on, dating for many years. And part of it was my reality of my life, always on the road and being this gypsy and never being able to kind of stay put for a while, and not even thinking that there's not even a guy that's going to accept my kind of life because I loved it. Also there's a part of me that loved what I did, and I didn't want to completely change who I was. Um, And to finally be, long story short, in a place where this is the first man who wanted to respected me from at my depth, was curious about everything that I was. What am I trying to do in my life? Who are you? Um, it wasn't just about me as a woman, but really about me as a human being. And what are you doing? Tell me more about that. I mean, we would spend hours talking, but I have to say that I trusted the faith part, like all my friends who know me and every single relationship that did not work. If there's one common thread, was always I believed that each one was getting a little better. I knew it. I felt like, okay, this one's better though. I know it's hard, but this got a little bit better. And it was a little bit more heart and a little bit more readiness of two human beings meeting at the right time. Like I have to say, the faith in that, with all of the, we're talking 20 years of dating, girl. Okay, 20 years.
That's a long time.
It's a
Yeah.
long time. And the longest relationship I had with any of them was a year. So there was a few guys that were about a year, because it takes about 6 months to a year sometimes to see your trueness. I say that, but I've never felt, this has been 2 months and nothing, it's felt like it's been years. It's like there's a knowingness and understanding that I've never felt before. There's a full acceptance and a depth of love that I've never felt before. I can say that from 20 years of having a bunch. You know what I mean? And through that evolution of myself, getting to a place where I'll meet someone that's where we're at the same place.
Well, and first of all, I'm thrilled to hear this. And I know for all of you listening, I mean, look at Patty. She's beautiful. And, a lot of times we think, what is it? What is it? As you mentioned, and I want to bring forward because I think this is a really relevant point, is that you looked at all the relationships and asked yourself what was the common denominator. And I think a lot of times we don't do that because we get so caught up in the disappointment and the sadness and this didn't work out, and we just look at it as something that's failed. And it takes courage to do that. It takes courage to move beyond that and to say, okay, is it something in me? And so when did you start stepping into that?
After the divorce, because I know I asked myself why, what do I need to learn from this? But I was asking myself why in many areas of my life. That's the other thing, is there's a few things that I want to share. One is, as much as I knew I was the common denominator, I didn't carry this burden of it's my fault, I'm so bad. Like, it was more, I'm the common denominator. And then I literally looked at my whole life and worked at it holistically. I looked at it, interestingly, Sherry, it wasn't just about love. It was about my wealth, my passion for my career, my business, my friends, even my inner circle. I was becoming choosy with everything, not just, it's all about, I didn't want my happiness to be dependent on this one thing called this intimate relationship. That I was certain. So I was evolving in many areas. So
Well,
it was,
that's a really critical point, Patty,
yeah,
really critical point, that you looked at your entire life and not just that one aspect of it.
100%. Because I had, in my marriage, I remember feeling like, okay, well, I'm still loving my career and I was doing it, but more part-time because, I came up from an Italian upbringing. Now it's about the marriage and the kids. Like, I fell into that, what I thought was supposed to be the right thing. And when that didn't work out, I then said, well, now I have permission to do whatever I want. I'm not going to sit back. I tried that game. I tried that road. It didn't work out for whatever reasons. It doesn't even matter. I knew, I felt, now this is, the card to go to do whatever I wanted. So I immediately looked at my life holistically. It wasn't at all about this one thing. Like, I kind of knew that intuitively. I wanted to learn, understand what had happened. But I said, I didn't want, it was actually the opposite. I didn't want my well-being to be dependent on a man. I kind of flipped it on its head. I was like, okay, I want an intimate relationship, but that's not the only thing I want. I want like, as I said, I wanted it all. So I really looked at it holistically. And so I went on a journey of who are my intimate circle of friends that help me, support me and help me evolve. I looked at that. I looked at my career. How do I need to handle this? I looked at, I mean, everything, business, being an author or whatever it was. I was really in a space of anything is possible now because I'm starting from a clean slate.
Mhm.
So I didn't only focus on relationships. I did on intimate relationship and trying to understand that, but it wasn't the only thing, I have to say. And so each thing evolved at in different times. This would come sooner, the intimate not just yet, and then this would not yet, you know. So everything is a constant juggling act that you're doing, that you're trying to, you know, get better, if I can say. I mean, it seems so simple, but that's what I was approaching everything that way, quite logically for that matter. And paying and learning to pay attention to myself to say, does this feel right? Because when you get busy and you're handling a lot of things, I also needed to learn, pause, something doesn't feel right about this, take a moment, what is it, what do I need to understand, is it that I'm not sharing this about myself? And I would use every man I dated, this is what I knew wholeheartedly, it was teaching me how to come back to self-love.
Mm.
If that meant sharing a boundary, if that meant understanding something I'm not comfortable with, and how do I share that? If it was always about going back to self and saying something about this doesn't feel right, what do I need to learn here? Is it to say no? Is it to say no to him, yes to me, no to me, yes to him? Whatever that was, I
Mm.
used every dating circumstance to tune in and trust my intuition because I lost the trust in it. So I had to find it again. I had to find, well, what does that mean? It's because I'm not paying attention. That's why I lose trust. So that means, oh, something about that didn't feel right. Sit back. What doesn't feel right? Journal. Talk to friends who are in a space where they're gonna lift me up, you know, and have that conversation. Oh, I get it. Now it's supposed to be about that. Have courage. Have that conversation. So it was teaching me to be more courageous, to come back to self-love, to really understand what's important for me.
Mm.
So to now be in a place where I can believe in it more,
Yeah.
trust it more.
Yeah, and what I love about this and what I'm hearing you say too, Patty, is that you actually put the time into getting to know you.
Yeah.
And that's to me, that's a miracle in and of itself as well. Because most of the time we are living outside of ourselves, just the culture that we grow up in, right?
100%.
So
And Sherry, you know, I didn't even think with that, I wasn't sure if I'd ever find somebody that I can be
mhm,
vulnerable with, like truly vulnerable, like, you know, that part of you that, because I'm really good at putting on a persona. I mean, it's part of who I am. Like my whole life, my career and my life can easily blend, right? He saw right through that.
mm,
He immediately, he can see something's going, you know, to someone to say, we're going to talk about this, we're going to sit down, we're going to look eye to eye, and I'm going to hold you, share what's in your heart. I was like, what? And then I test it and I'm like, well, I'll say a bit and then I'll say, because you're not there yet. Like, I didn't think that that's possible, that someone would recognize that.
mhm, mhm.
That was a big gift for me. That was a total, like, that's what I find the most precious gift of all, is that he allows me to be vulnerable and that creates the safe space for that. I never thought that was possible.
And why is that so important for you, Patty?
Oh my gosh, Sherry, because like I'm even getting emotional just knowing that, because that's what we all want, is to be seen and to be held in our imperfection and in our flawedness. And he showed up that way,
Yeah,
saying it's okay. You don't have to always be this perfect person.
yeah.
And not without exactly those words, but you know what I'm saying? The like, oh my God, that was my heart. You know, I had never been able to feel safe to be that way, because I always had to be strong in this persona, because they, you know, they didn't allow that space to happen. So I knew I had, a part of me had to keep trying to believe that this was possible, have faith in that. Because in the end, without that, I'd rather be alone. Like truthfully, without that, I don't want to be in a relationship. I can't. I'm just pretending.
Yeah, yeah. I love, love, love this. And um, Patty, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that, because I think that is so true. That's what we all want. The majority of us want to be understood. We want to know that we are are appreciated for who we are and that we're loved for who we are. But what I also heard, which just feels like it sinks so much. We talked a few minutes ago about you getting to know you and you loving you. And, in this world, there's a lot of evidence that water finds its own level, or magnetically you attract where you're at. And so it makes so much sense that you, after all this work that you did to get to know you and all the self-love, that you would attract a guy who matches that. Once you love yourself, then you attract that guy. So
and it sounds so cliche, Sherry, but it's
I
like
know.
it really does. Even when here, I was like, God, it sounds so cliche, but it's so true. And this is why I wanted to share this idea of when something doesn't feel right, you stopping to pay attention and having the courage to ask for what you need, to do what you need to do in order to get in this place where you feel good. That's where the self-love comes in. It's every time going through the discomfort and saying there's a reason this is happening and I have to go back into this and honor myself in the process. It is that.
Yeah, loving yourself enough to just say, hey, stop it. This is
Yeah.
more, who I am is important, and I can't keep suppressing
No.
the ways of being, because when you do that, you just keep on that cycle, right? You just keep on the hamster wheel. Wow, you had courage to break that and to really look deep within yourself. Oh my gosh, Patty, that takes bravery. Takes bravery. What tip can you give people watching around that courage? How to step into that courage? How to have that courage? You mentioned one thing that I think is very important, and you said to have a support team
Yeah.
around you. You had good friends around you.
Oh my God, huge, huge. Because the right friends are not going to keep you stuck. They're going to call you, they're going to support you and let you be vulnerable. And then the next question is going to be, all right, so what have you learned from this? How are you going to help you they help you process what's unclear. So they ask you enough questions to let you speak, and then say, have you considered this or have you considered that? It's not about pointing a finger at somebody else. They won't play victim. They're there to support you to process and then ask you the right questions, or make you consider things. And sometimes just in the conversation, you consider for yourself, so that you can come from a place of more empowerment when you approach whoever you have to approach to have this conversation with, right? So the support system, hugely important. I mean, my circle of friends, my female friends specifically, are gems, and so they're important to me. And two is to have courage. Is really when something is uncomfortable, when it hurts in any way, it's a trigger. That's the moment of courage to say, there it is. Because every time I allow myself to notice this discomfort and step into trying to resolve it, that's where the courage is stepping into trying to resolve it, not saying, I see it and I think I'll go over there to distract myself and avoid it. Sometimes you need to do that because you're not in the right context to deal with it. But there's a difference between saying, I can't deal with it right now, but I'm going to remember this and deal with it after, right? Because you can't, because then you're not doing the courageous thing. You're not, you're actually avoiding it. And so the discomfort is designed for you to step into courage.
Yes. I once had a coach who said getting comfortable with your discomfort. And
Yes.
that can be very challenging. That can be challenging. How has it impacted your life, this journey that you've been on, the miracle of really having that self-discovery and that self-love? How, beyond being in this beautiful relationship, are there any other ways that this has impacted your life?
Sherry, life just feels easier. Like it's just like this doesn't happen. It's like this. Oh, there's a little dough. Oh, a little high. Like I don't have extreme highs or extreme lows. Life is like this, and it seems rather boring, but it's actually not. It's quite cool because you can see this is a difficult moment, but it'll pass, and you're like, oh, this is a high, and this is great, and I enjoy it, and then I'll go here. It just flows more, so it's a lot easier because I don't go through any extremes. Um, And that's the work. The work is the extremes. If it goes to an extremes, it's because you haven't handled it soon enough. Like, so now I know when I'm in this place, there's a flow and there's an ease. And
Mhm.
that's all how I could explain it. Like, I
I,
won't let things get to there or there.
yeah, that is actually really powerful because I love that you identified that. You don't let it get too far because I
No.
think that's what often happens is we keep sweeping things. I certainly did that. Oh my gosh, when I was married, I kept sweeping things under the carpet, and then, it gets explosive when you don't deal with things. And so the growth of really tapping in and understanding yourself, having that inner knowing about what feels good to you, as you said. What feels good? Does this feel good? No. Then let me look at why it doesn't feel good. And I have a colleague who says, really any uncomfortable emotion, that it really lasts 90 seconds. And if you can ride that wave, that you can get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more comfortable you get with it. It doesn't build up to this big tidal wave, but it just, like as you described it, I love that, just the gentle
Yeah.
flowing, because we're always going to have ups and downs. There's no way of getting, we're human. That's life. But to be able to respond to it in a way that feels easy, it feels good. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I would, hands up, take that all day long, all
Yeah,
day
yeah.
long, right? All day
And
long.
100%. And there's something that came to mind, just because we had spoken before about this, and I just feel that this is kind of important in the sense that uh, part of who I am is, you know, whatever I want to treat others the way I would like to be treated. So every person I dated, if whatever situation was happening, I wanted to give them the space to be imperfect and to feel safe to talk to me, right? I wasn't sure if I would ever be able to get that back, but I trusted that I have to be able to provide that for another human being, because at the core, everybody, I believe that to create a safe space for people to be imperfect and to be fearful, or like not fearful, but to have their doubts, and you just holding space for them to be able to share that and to say, it's okay, you can say whatever it is, and I'm not going to freak out. I remember with the different guys that I had gone on, dates or mini short relationships with, if I knew something about it didn't feel, wasn't 100% in alignment with me, but he wasn't able to probably say it, like I sensed it. I remember feeling like, I know I need to now be at a point where, for an example of, I need to be at a point where this has to become exclusive, or else it's okay, I'll move on.
Mhm.
But they weren't necessarily ready to talk about that. And I would bring it up knowing that it will probably feel like a rejection because they're going to say no to me. But I needed to hear it so that I can move on and let go. I
Mhm.
didn't want to stay in that ambiguous state. But I asked it in such a way to say, I need you to know that whatever your answer is, it's okay. I don't want you to feel like you have to gloss it over, or that I just sense that this is where I'm at. And if you're not, that's all right. I appreciate our time together, but I need to move on from this. I would say those words so that he would feel safe to say it, not where it was an ultimatum. It was more, listen, I'm here. You might not be there, and that's okay if you're not, but this is where I'm at.
Mhm.
To be so I just want that to say that, because I think sometimes we underestimate. I really felt that if I can create the safe space for someone to share what's in their heart, they'll say it more authentically. And in the end, I want that back from someone.
Mhm.
And the right
Yeah.
person will show it to me that way.
Yes, and you save time as well. So much time. Patty, I am so grateful to you for sharing your journey, and one of really a lot of inner reflection, a lot of taking responsibility for who you are, your behaviors, how you're showing up, and staying positive, having the faith. I love that. Every guy was like, okay, well, this is a little bit better here, and this is, I'm moving up. So keeping your eye focused on, even though it was a not it, but it was more elevated as far as what you were looking for than the one before, and staying focused in that direction until ultimately you reached a place of such self-love and great communication, allowing whoever you were with to feel safe in sharing that you met this man who is a perfect match for you,
Yes.
and not just a perfect match, but deeply interested in who you are. And this is a perfect match in the sense of what you were looking for, because I know we're all looking for different things, but I think at the heart of most women, at least the ones that I talk to, we all want that deeply bonded, connected relationship, but it starts within. It starts
Mm.
within. And you certainly did that work for it. So Patty is you're amazing, Patty. You are absolutely amazing. And you also, as she said, this is part of her work as well. Oh, thank you. But this is part of your work. And she has been studying the masculine and the feminine energies for years, as she was a professional dancer in Canada. And tell them a little bit, Patty, how that has impacted you as far as relationships as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wanted to understand the essence of masculine energy versus feminine energy, because when I understood the meaning behind each of them, and the fuel and motivation behind each of them, it gave me the tool to sort of move throughout my life where I can actually do, where I can transition. And in order for myself to feel like, again, back to self, that I love myself enough to know that it's time for the feminine right now, because I didn't want to be in a place. It's easy when you're building and you're creating to stay in a masculine state or energetic place. And I remember feeling very depleted at the beginning of that, because I was so much in the building that the part of me that needed to feel connected to my heart and receive wasn't doing it enough. And even just having that awareness, so that now I can be with even my present partner, and when he's giving me anything from touch to thoughts, or to dinner or a coffee, I can, whatever it is, or we're walking together, that I could receive that moment, because it's the way I'm nurturing my feminine, versus just just not being aware of that. So that awareness makes me realize I'm doing this dance between the masculine and the feminine. So I love that I'm aware of it. So then I never get in this place where I don't feel depleted in something, because I can see where now it's time for this, now it's time for this. I kind of ebb and flow again that way, depending on what I'm doing throughout my day. So
Mhm.
it's become a very conscious tool.
Mhm. Yeah. And if people want to find out more about you, Patty, where can they go to learn more about you?
Yep, sure. I mean, you can find me on social media, Patty Contenta, or my website, sensualitysecrets.com, but or the my fan page, Sensuality Secrets, but social media.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Well, Patty, thank you so much for being with us. I am so appreciative of you sharing your journey and the miracle of this beautiful relationship, and how you got there. So
Thank you.
thanks for being with us. For those of you who are really wondering, okay, I resonate, I understand everything that Patty was talking about, but I'm really not sure how to get to that place of self-love. You deserve it. First of all, you deserve to have a relationship like Patty has found, and just know that it doesn't just happen for Patty in Canada. It doesn't, happen at a certain age. That it can happen for you no matter where you live, no matter what your socioeconomic background is, no matter what, it can happen for you. And to help you to really connect to that, what I call your diamond power, that inner strength, that inner knowing, that helps you develop that self love. I've created, especially for you, a special meditation called Diamond Power. And all you have to do is go to diamondpowertv.com and you'll gain easy access to it, so that you can connect to that and really begin to develop your self love journey as Patty did. So, thank you so much for watching and listening. And I hope that you gained some insights, gleaned something from what Patty shared with us that will help you on your journey. Until next time, believe in the miracle in you. Bye now.